When executing simulations, which is stimulating the basic units of informations that has been analyzed by the maximum connection of logic, relevance, and the network of knowledge, for how it has to be made is just cloning, because it has to be processed in juxtapositional manner from the original one. The exact copy or executor has to be cloned, and that one is only dedicated to a certain kind of simulation that is executed. And when the simulation is engaging in, only a small fraction, only a small part of it as a fraction will be used, as small as 0.01%, and as much as 1% or 2%. But really, as the knowledge grows for its accumulation of executions, generally, each simulations will take part of smaller and smaller portions of the entire magnitude of knowledge, because it is so big compared to the simulations on what is executing. Of course, as the accumulation of entire knowledge grows, so does the size of average simulation, but the gap will have a big difference as the accumulation goes faster than the general size of simulation grows. Well, either way, how after cloning the original knowledge, which is always up to date on that specific time, on any given moment of learning, cloning the exact copy as an up-to-date simulations are engaging in, which only takes a small fraction part of it, of the entire network of knowledge, only like using 0.123% of the entire capacity, but just luring out only like a search and find and drag it down to the another space doesn't happen, because the code information has its value, because it is connected and can be analyzed thus by that connection. So independently in severing the connections, losing its meaning and a value, and just drag it down to the separate area for only what is pertaining to that specific simulation will not happen, because it cannot make a logic. So it will remain its structure for its highest density and diversity of connections, for those dots of information, for its maximum status of logic relevance, which is up to date. So as it is exactly cloned to another area of simulation, it is not dismantled to calling for just pertaining information, but it will remain its structure as it is. And when the simulation comes in, which is just a progressive connection, initiating new connections, trying new experiments, just having to try the different dots, different connections around it, and if it doesn't make any logic, you retract, you cut it off. But if it makes sense, you connect around the new information where hasn't been explored. When you do that, the new information, the C information comes in when the connection between the information A and information B, those dots are connected with that. New analysis comes in, which is another information C that is connected around that A and B information. Newly formed, you do make a simulation around that proposed area. On that area, informations are stimulated on each of those. Informations are stimulated on each of those dots, newly trying to form connections for what haven't yet been explored before. When you do that, information comes in. Well, that is just a process of simulation, and that is just our task for how to make really that physical structure. Connecting the lines and how the new knowledge can be processed as the information A and B is connected and computed. The computing on its process is will it be just a combination? And the definition of application goes beyond the combination, which really speaks for combining the common elements in the cohorted area, but the application goes beyond the border of the cohorted group to the another group, which extends literally connection, but you utilize the core concept of the information and two different informations whose connections are not yet made is newly tried now. Rare is not being explored. That is tried now, and what does happen, like forms, and how the action for connecting the dots, making a cable around information and between it. Well, it is solved when the computer makes how to compute. 진짜 씨발이네 이거. The one can study, the one can applicate, the one can speak, but the one doesn't know how it does that. What the fucking is that even possible? Utilizing a structure but doesn't know its existence of very structure it utilizes upon that. Utilizing a structure but it doesn't know its existence, its very existence, its very physical existence that is used on that each and every computing file. Well, the form of simulation, executing simulation is just simulation. The word definition of simulation is just trying to connect new lines, new connections. That is all. When it makes sense, like not logic, it goes. when it doesn't make any sense, like banana and battery, or the pillow and the book, and the wall and electric device charger. It doesn't have any correlation to have any common area. So the reason of why I'm speaking on this recorder repeatedly, even though I do not have any novel ideas to record on, it's because the novel ideas are created from these initiative stress tests, as we are all doing. It is a progressive, proactive stimulation upon the network of knowledge whose existence is not really known until the stimulation is inflicted upon that is, which is exactly what we're doing to know from it. Yeah. Training hard, the hard way. Now, when the connections are made, like analyzation happens, is that automatic? And how to make the new information and make a form with a conversion of energy into your computing unit and make it, place it, connect it. Haha, that is all. But how to make that really? Information can really make its form as just another combination of basic elementary units, which is a atom. A combination of atom is molecule, and the combination of molecule goes polymolecule, meaning those giant structure to make on each and every combinations can really designate the informations, correlating informations as the combination of alphabet, which is a basic elementary unit, basic unit, as the alphabet A to Z is just another translation of atoms and molecules. And from that combination of alphabets, you make a code. And from the combination of molecules, you make an information corresponding to code, alphabet corresponding to the molecules. Meaning the informations physically are really made. Now, on the brain of this speaker, the fucking right now, this very speaker, informations are formed and connected and bespoken. Now, physically, informations do exist, and we do convert from the information to the code named English. Now, do exist on that information, and you do know, which is just a differentiated sole proprietor of its unique combination of molecule that is designated to that specific information, 1-to-1 ratio as corresponder, as code to information. The combination of molecule to be really used as a unit of computing, and how the molecules can compute. The definition of compute is to just connect and analyze. The connecting itself makes an analyzation. 미치겠다. And how the connection, like you say the word synapse, there's a unit of neuron and those bridges. The real maker of knowledge is the connection. The bridge is called a synapse. how the synapses are made. You will ever and ever, will forever, however much ever and forever use the word electricity. And just under the combination of chemistry, the signals are made. And how you imagine how the electricity can really be used as a medium of transferring of information. Having a medium, I think, unless that electricity do have a differentiator, like the frequency from 1 nanometer, like 0.001 nanometer to 1,000 nanometers to 100 centimeter to 100 meters to like 1 kilometers, like that range of like electromagnetic wave for that differentiator, which is the frequency, which is a medium of communication that we are using now with the cell phones, military boys, satellites, cars, radios, microwaves. We do use for those, each of which different parts designated into the specified parts. Unless that electricity has that differentiator as to convey the as to convey the information, convey that specific unique form of information, which is the combination of molecule. Unless the electricity as a medium as transponder transfer can make its differentiating value as a specific frequency on the EM wave to the corresponding unit, which is the combination of molecule. And when it can really make having electricity as a medium, which can be used as a differentiator of information, different combinations of molecule, different combinations of the attributes of electricity. What the fuck? Unless it does and can, it won't act as a transfer of information. But I think it on the human brain, electricity will work as a stimulator for calling, like Google searching and finding the information. What are the pertaining, correlating, connected information on that required searched word, searched information comes into play. Which means when the information, newly searched information comes in, the electricity has to stimulate around the network. It is just a calling from the newly information being a specific code that electricity has to convey that code. No, it's just another cases, but same thing. Now, we think about this situation. You read a book written in Korean, Dutch, English, Français, Ruski, Espanol, Latino, a lot of different. But when you do read it, that combination of code, alphabet, as a word is converted to the real information that you have. If you do know the French language, the real information has as a compadre really translated really as a same value corresponding relation is 1-to-1 ratio when an image and the texture, the color, the sphere, shape, size, texture of apple really exist in your brain, but you call that object as a fruit an apple in like a French word, what would be? If you do have an analysis data information of on the subject, on the object apple, you do have a correlating code, an apple. And when you do see a word apple in the book, you see from that paper to with your eyes and convert that word into a corresponding form of information which is that exact copy of information, corresponding information that you like APPLE, that 5 letters combination is a same thing. When you do see that APPLE is a same thing with your real physical information about apple, which is just a translation having a same value. When you do see a code of apple, with the code is just combination of it is just a translator. It doesn't really have any value, but as a direct relationship, that code immediately when you see an APPLE for that combination, as it is designated into another corresponding combination of molecules, which is directly linked, meaning that combination of apple is directly linked to the real image, texture, spherical shape and size, color of an apple, which means when you do see the combination of apple, you really, from that direct translation, from the visual having a white background but as a differentiator from a color as a mediator, which is a black, pitch black, APPLE, is that light source carrying information is converted to the combination of molecule, which is a direct translation, just another word of real information of apple. Meaning, in short, when you do see an apple, the real information resultantly about apple is stimulated. Wow. And when you imagine the sentence, apple is red and have an acid. Yes. Having that sentence into the real computing, you have to translate from apple has a red color. You have to translate what the combination of alphabet has would really mean, which is a connected selected code. That preset code the combination of has to be stored in the brain, that it has a generalized meaning that something really have something contain, something owns, okay? That which also exists as a generalized information makes the translation of HAS, the combination possible to analyze as that combination. It really means a generalized conception of having, containing, owning in your real physical information. Okay, apple has a red color, meaning what the definition of red mean, which is another specific EM wave for its frequency of applying frequency of EM wave, and you do match with that red color too, that frequency and color, what the word color means, which is under a certain range area of visible electromagnetic spectrum, where from red to violet, which is generalized for named as a color. So from that range, and you select the red. Yes, and since has means having, containing it, meaning that sentence analogy would be apple for its real information, as previously mentioned, its size, shape, texture, color, is connected to, because it has means it connects under that category. Apple has a red color, meaning has means a containing as a subordinated as a subset, subset of that, like a diagram of the relation. Apple has a red color, which is right. Okay. An apple has an acidity, acid. What is the definition, objective and accurate definition of acid is, okay? For that chemical definition, the corresponding information is really physically stored. And when you do see a word acid, that is converted to the corresponding combination of molecule which contains the value, the criterion for differentiating whether a thing has an acidity or not. For that particular property as an attribute for that specific chemical precision, chemical attribute having an acidity, that information is stimulated. An apple, with an apple, an acidity is connected, and from that connection can computer know and have a knowledge that apple has a red color, and also apple has an acidity from those two newly created connections, which is sourced from a book. Now the real operation is to make that real physical structure. Chemistry is a basic element, like a building block of everything. So, as to be a constructor, you have to know with what blocks, what construction materials, and what methods as a structure will you use to make a machine. By the utilization of a combination of basic building blocks under the name of chemistry, oh bloody yeah.